Oh, shout out to Wichita, Kansas. Just wanted to start off the show right off the bat, sending love to Wichita. We see you out there. We don't know who you are, but we're happy to hear from you, by the way, at Do You Even Steam Bro at Gmail. So far, up to about 36 downloads of our episodes. So somebody out in Wichita is absolutely digging our shit, and we love you for it. So thank you. Just wanted to, from Boston to Wichita, just send out that love. We're seeing other places there. I'm seeing you out there in St. Paul, Minneapolis, out there with our newfound friend at Secret Police Podcast, tuning in, checking out our episodes. We are highly appreciative of that. We really, really appreciate anyone taking the time to listen to us. And, we see that love you're sending us. We see that love that is coming into the steam tunnels. My name is Josh, a.k.a. the Birdman. I have descended. I have lit the candles. We have said the rites. We have slaughtered the appropriate goat and or drank the adrenochrome or whatever's necessary, whatever is needed to control the world of pop culture and social commentary. And with me, I've got my fellow warlock. He goes by the Three of Clubs. His name is Rashawn Smith. How you doing today?
What it do? How'd he do? I'm doing well. How is everyone?
Oh, we are just dandy. It is actually you'll get this the second week of November because we do record ahead, but it is Halloween today, so it is spooky time. We have our costumes on. We're ready to go and good to take it out into the streets, out into these streets here. Get me some candy. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, in light of your open, we are about to work the straw far from the opera of Evermore, otherwise known as Wichita. Thanks, Jack White. Appreciate that. Quick side note, he actually hates that lyric because everyone walks up to him and says, "Hey, are you going to Wichita?" Which is like the last thing you want to do to someone like Jack White, which sucks because that song obviously rips. But shout out to Wichita. Thanks, guys.
Exactly. I mean, the song rips, between that and just, everybody asking if, everybody has a copy of the two Kansas albums, Left Symphony and, Greatest Hits. When you live there in Kansas, I'm sure they get a lot of that. But yeah, much love.
Which is weird because we get no one coming up to us be like, "Hey, you love Boston? Is that your favorite band?"
Yeah.
Matter of fact,
no one says that.
Yeah, well, sure, but they're not from Boston. Like, what?
They're New Hampshire boys. What do you want? Good enough. Same with Aerosmith. Most of them are really from New Hampshire. Let's be honest here. If we're really getting down to the nitty gritty, it's up there.
The Scarves, Steven Tyler. They're from.
They definitely got famous in Boston, but I know some of them grew up in New Hampshire too.
I thought he was real local, like from a mill town.
He might have been, but it was. I'll have to go check my notes there again.
Or actually from Boston.
Yeah, all right. I'll have to check the notes in there. But before we go too deep into the scrolls, into the histories, I'm bringing out my other warlock here, my other man with the plan, my other man who can make the magic and make it sing. It is the Star Child, Greg DeSense. How you doing today?
I'm feeling good. Happily not having a total emotional breakdown like most of the people in our topic today.
Oh yeah, no, that I will always appreciate that. So it is one of those things that we are working on, and that we wanted to make sure that we keep ourselves sane and that we keep ourselves moving forward here. And that's, I think, part of the reason why we stop and have these conversations. But I'm happy to hear that you are, in fact, not having a mental breakdown today. It's a good place to start. Days can be stressful, especially post pandemic and everything
going
else
into the holidays.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yes. Well, around my house, it's not only holidays. It's actually, I got two birthdays because I have one son born in November and one son born in December. So yeah. This just gets to be an outright free-for-all, or as we like to call it here in the Fink household, a shit show.
Shit show it is.
Yes, absolutely. No, 100% pure, unmitigated shit show that we got going on. But
shit show it is.
that leads really well into our subject today, that, about life taking that left-hand turn and maybe going into a direction that you didn't expect. maybe when just things weren't there. What's up there, Rashawn? I see you want to start us off there with a extra little preamble.
Sure. I like to call that period of time that you just talked about in your household as the Fink Hanukkah.
Yes, absolutely. It's the Fink Hanukkah, the Festivus for the rest of us. I absolutely
Therefore, if you see lights burning, you're probably not gonna. Someone should call the authorities.
I was teaching my son how to say the appropriate Hanukkah prayers the other night. And he was like, I'm going to need to learn that again. So he's trying. He's certainly trying there. It's cute. And I will say this much, by the end, I definitely need an airing of the grievances, because that absolutely, by the end of it, I've got the stick. Yes. And the grievances will 100% be aired. We can promise.
I got a lot of problems with you people.
Yeah.
It's really, I think by the end of it, oh boy, yeah. My wife and I did not plan this by any stretch, but boy, I mean, I suppose if I'd had a real control over the situation beyond, well, the obvious, this we didn't think that one fully through. Having both kids' birthdays right around both major holidays here in the U.S. But
I mean, sex season is going to lead to a baby season. Like you gotta, space it out a little bit better, I guess. Get like a, love calendar.
I'll have to think on that next time. But what can I say? Only for a few more days, gentlemen, and then we're hanging up the Spurs officially. So, going on in, retiring.
I think we're actually picking up the Spurs, but okay. I mean, it's just,
all right. That's another way of putting it.
Depends on your definition, because we getting
definition.
we getting ready to ride.
Yeah,
we're gonna ride. Getting ready to ride.
I prefer. I was thinking that people should at least, I thought you two should at least have a couple of days of mourning here, after my procedure on Wednesday, that you could wear,
Why us?
Just because you're my brothers, you know what I'm saying?
I don't mind.
But we have nothing to do with that.
I understand. It's general principle. Okay. We stand together. All right. You wear a black armband.
We're unfeathered.
You talk about how one of the greats has retired. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true. Your batting average is pretty good, man.
Kind of just that moment of respect. All right.
Interesting segue into the two topics that we just covered, which is baby making, three topics: baby making, misbegotten seasons or hours, and also Halloween. I want to shout out to Amelia. Hope she's safe and sound, and her growing family. Also, if you listeners, if you guys have not gotten into ghost hunting in New England, you need to, especially every October. I've been listening to them left and right throughout Halloween. It has been fantastic. They do a great show. And then third, and this is the reason why I even thought of it, because these guys over here are talking about baby making. I love when people talk about the witching hour as if it was something other than when people actually woke up to fuck. Because that's actually what it was. I mean, like, the funniest part is when you break down the understanding.
That's entirely what it was.
Right? When you break down the understanding of the fact that what a sleep cycle was based off of productivity in the field, because frankly, 99% of the world was in agriculture. And the fact that you also had a setting sun cycle or light cycle because you did not have electricity. You kind of end up waking up in a time where everyone was up, but no one was around. And that was a good time to get down.
All right. Well, that
indeed.
Does that explain why my fire alarms go off randomly sometimes? Because I was going for demon because son of a bitch. It's not
ghosts
fun.
Are fucking. That's why.
That's exactly what it is.
Learned that from Steve Gutenberg and Liam Neeson.
Okay, all right. The ghosts are knocking the boots. Okay, well, it all makes sense.
Especially
big props
Liam.
to you, Rashawn, for
the bang.
Absolutely, the shout out to our sister
people.
podcast.
Weird.
Nope. Absolutely, the shout out to our sister podcast there, Ghost Hunting in New England. Fantastic. No matter what's going on. We do hope that Amelia, we're thinking of you. Hadn't heard any baby news yet, so we'll keep we'll keep thinking about you and hope that that baby arrives soon and that you can go there. But yeah, we were talking about shit shows. We're talking about how things kind of took a turn, and yeah, okay. I'm gonna step up early here because we were talking a little bit. It's been in the news. You may have noticed a little bit about Kanye West, and maybe just a few things going on there. So I
Josh,
volunteered.
tell us.
Yes, I volunteered.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't know, I'm going to steal a little page from Bo of the Fifth Column here. If you don't know, there was a hip hop artist who formerly went by the name of Kanye West and now goes by the name of Ye. I believe, I'm not sure what his Twitter handle is these days, or, if his Twitter handle. And also, he can be back on Twitter, and and the irony of all this is people can now drop racial slurs on him and he can drop anti-Semitic slurs back. It's just, because in the, week since we last recorded, yes, the Wild West is truly back in the Twitterverse. Everything's on the table again there, apparently, which, is just going to make the world so much better. But, thinking a little bit about this, about that unexpected, about what was going on, and, seeing that it's a little bit of a tricky and sticky subject. We were talking a little in the roll up to the show. These things are hard. But they're there. They're in pop culture. They're in our social commentary about where we're at. And I think it is worth noting. It is worth mulling about and mulling over. I can say that I'm going to actually give a shout out to my friend, Cassandra. She posted something on her Facebook page that I did like and I did watch. And it made at least a point to all this, and an interesting point. When it was Trevor Noah, from The Daily Show. And he just had an uninteresting point that, look, if someone is saying they're having a mental breakdown and they're on medication and they're mentally unstable, maybe that's not the best time to sit them down for a comprehensive interview. And it does give an awful lot of microphone to the subject. And I think that's a legitimate point here in America, because if we're talking about on our show, which we are, pop culture and the social commentary, what does it say about us as Americans? And what does it say about really what we desire in our pop culture? We love to see people built up to successes, and then we love to see them broken back down. I mean, it really is part of that. We love the hero. We love the fall of the hero. And yeah, it just plays into that. If you've got someone who is not really on their best and is acting unstable, there's almost that ghoulish point. It's like we try and we work really hard to get a mic in front of that person at that point in time, when, God knows what they're going to say or who they're going to say it to or what they're going to say it about. And that clearly plays into this. I think that is a fair statement to make, right? Right. The guy is saying some things that are going to be edgy and controversial. Actually, it's funny just because there's a sample in one of his songs where one guy comes over and says, "What does that mean?" He says, "Nobody knows what it means. It's controversial." Gets the people talking. So, there's a little bit of that actually out there. And I always love that line. I always thought it was pretty funny. It's a sample from a movie. It sounds like Rappaport, but I'm not really dead sure on that part of the sample where it's
Will Ferrell. It's Blades of Glory.
It's Will Ferrell. Okay. All right. That's that's
John
it.
Hader.
So
Craig T. Nelson's in the scene too, if you care.
Yeah, it's also what?
And we do.
Craig T. Nelson is also in the scene, if you care.
Absolutely, we do. Listen, absolutely. I always care about Craig T. Nelson. There's no two ways. But I did find it ironic that at the centerpiece in one of his songs is just that, right? Just talking about being edgy and where does it go, and where does it get too far? And I really think it's a legitimate point to say, hey, maybe take into account what's going on, and that maybe it's not the right time to throw someone under in front of a moving train at that point. On the other hand, I can also say, that it's tough, it's sticky when you happen to be rightly, wrongly, even under the subject of said rants and said anti-Semitic rhetoric. It's tough. I'm human, right? Nobody likes being called names. Nobody likes being singled out as a monolith. No one likes being told they rule the world when they really. I'm still just downstairs counting everything, and counting my control of the record labels, counting my control of the movie industry. These tropes, they're there. It's there, and boy, it was just couple of weeks ago, Rashawn and I went to go see a comedian, and he made a joke, and it was a Holocaust joke, and he did a great job with it. And I was one of the first people laughing. I had a great deal of trust in this comedian, but part of his process is he talks about the jokes sometimes. And he says, that's a very uncomfortable joke for me because I take a pause and I'm waiting for someone at the back to say, fuck yeah. Right? He's just waiting for that guy to agree with it. Well, in this particular case, at this particular time, via Twitter, via interviews with Tucker Carlson, this guy was the dude at the back yelling, fuck yeah, dude. Right? It's like, no, that's not where the joke was going. That's not where we were taking this message. So yeah, it's a hard thing. And it's something that makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but we're human here. We're trying to be adults. We're trying to unpack these things. One thing I can say is, we're all very aghast about this particular one. I do believe people still have a choice. I believe actions have consequences. I think that's the biggest thing, or actions should have consequences. And I say that as someone who suffered them myself, right? I've done the wrong thing in my life. Certainly have suffered some of the consequences for them. But one thing I can point out is he's not the first person to do this. He's not the first person to go this way. And I don't know. I'm not even entirely convinced of, are there consequences? Because let's roll the clock back a little bit, particularly to one Mr. Mel Gibson, right? Who, last I checked, I never remembered anything in the news about him having really any mental difficulties, any mental strife in this particular way. Whereas the other's been a little more well documented, right? There's been a few precursors to this. There's been a few episodes, shall we say. Mel got pulled over by a cop, drunk off his ass driving at levels that should have just meant a night in jail no matter what, and a revoked license. Let's just start with that. And immediately started berating the officer and asked if she was a Jew, because Jews, quote, start all the world wars. Okay, we start with that. He's already directed at this point, The Last Temptation of Christ, the Passion of the Christ, excuse me, different he didn't get excommunicated for that.
He didn't. Yeah.
Martin Scorsese got excommunicated. Mel Gibson got canonized. But already a very controversial movie that some people at the time were worried about anti-Semitic statements that could have been conceived therein. By the way, I took, in that odd way of never having met the man and never know him, I take a little personal offense after that film being released, because I, as a Jew, stood up for it and said, I don't think it's inherently anti-Semitic. I think, you're talking about the death of Christ, and you have the Romans and you have the Jews, and those are the people involved. And, you're telling as much a historical as well as a religious text. So here I am right after that, egg on my face. And, here's the irony of the whole thing to me, right? We have this going on. We have these ideas. We have this immense state of fear. We have this immense state of anger that ends up getting directed, in these two particular instances towards Jews. It's not that it can't be directed towards other races or minorities or any members of any other groups. But at least in the case of Mel Gibson, he was still allowed to work. He's still making movies. Someone will still pay a ticket to see his movie, right? That's was the end of, the irony that I see in all of this is that the very actions, to a certain extent, disprove the very conspiracy they're trying to put forth. At least in Gibson's
usually
case.
Does.
Yeah, at least in Gibson's case. A little too early to see yet with Kanye. And yeah, there's an extra wrinkle there that works against him. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm not, not trying to hide that, not trying to say these are on equal footing, because they're not, which is really my point to the whole thing. But I did find it fascinating, right? That here's a guy in Mel Gibson who had a huge level of success, made and directed multiple movies that I loved going to see, and including Braveheart. Let's see, Man Without a Face. I'm just, the list goes on. These are a lot of great movies that I love to watch and I love to see. Wow. And he literally looked at the establishment. Now, the truth of the matter is, statistically speaking, there are a lot of Jews in Hollywood. Yeah, you heard me say it. you heard it here first, folks. There are a lot of Jews.
And just like that, we're canceled.
But it astounds me that, as I said, that you can put out a conspiracy theory like that these people, quote unquote, control Hollywood. And, a decade or so later with a little bit of an image rehab, nevertheless, you're still working there. So how deep does this conspiracy go? I think it's a damn shame. I think it's a damn shame we're still here. I think it's a damn shame we're still talking about any of this, really, is what it boils down to. I think too many people, it's too easy to jump on this whole bandwagon, but it's hard. It's hard to stay away from it. It's hard not to have any emotions attached to it, because I've heard a lot of questions about free speech this week. I've heard a lot of questions about deplatforming and all of that. Honestly, it's got me thinking, and it makes me wonder. And I go one way with it on sometimes, and I go the other way with it the other time. And as I say, in the middle of all this, I'm still a messy human being, right? Like I kind of have, I can get those pesky feelings mixed up in all of it as I watch it unfold. Usually with a lot of laughter, to be honest, because as I say, my favorite fact being that the 10 years ago, the poster child for, Jews run the world and run Hollywood and won't let you say anything is still, in fact, making movies and is about to make another one with Mark Wahlberg. But, I'll start it off. Let you guys tell me what you're thinking today.
Well, I mean, this kind of goes to the earlier conversation we were having, and I love you, Josh, but I'm going to call you out on this.
All right.
Not as bad as you texting you're going to make, a type of greens for us, but in your case about Mel Gibson, this is the reason why it's hard for each group of some sort of disparate history to get behind one another, is because moments like this. So in the case of Mel Gibson, you also left out, which was pretty damn egregious, at least to someone like me, the fact that he followed up that anti-Semitism with more anti-Semitism, but also threatening the life of his wife, his children, and also hoping that in not so many words that she gets raped by a pack of N-words.
Oh, yes.
That was just a highlight of that. So, but my point is, when we talk about, a lot of times groups get fallen into the same sort of tribal mentality that they're looking to avoid, which is, we'll only talk about what hurt us. We won't talk about what hurt everyone. So then when moments like Kanye comes up, or Ye, frankly, because I've made my case multiple times on this podcast, Kanye has been dead for about 10, 12 years now. So this Ye thing, when he does it, yes, the whole world should get behind anyone who's slamming or knocking down anti-Semitism. Always go against anyone who has that kind of hate. But then it gets weird, because it gets to the point where it's like, okay, but can we do this for all of us? Can we remember this for all of us? Can we hold the same energy for all of us when this happens?
You're absolutely right.
Another thing with free speech, I love, just real fast, when people get off of free speech, the way they describe it sometimes, like, so what you're saying is basically, I have the right to walk into your house, locked door or not, and say whatever the fuck I want to, right? No matter what. Right. Like, no, you can't do it. It's like, so then get the fuck off Twitter's back if they say they don't want you to do something. Like, that's their property. Shut up.
Well, now that Musk owns them, they want you to do anything.
It's his rules. You can say
it's his house now. It's his house.
His house.
And we all had one house like that in that neighborhood that was just being trashed and just partied at 24/7.
Fucking parties though in the comics, in the toilet.
Oh yeah, always that. But people taking shits in the corner and what I'm saying, windows getting blown out.
I'm not kidding. Room did smell like pee.
Like, it
was because the little brother peed in bed all the time.
We're simpatico on that. I said that house. You knew exactly what I was talking about. That's why you and I are.
Shout out to Eddie. Shout out to Ollie.
And I by the way, I totally will take that. You're absolutely right. I can tell you, I legit forgot about that attack on his ex-wife. You're absolutely right, and that was absolutely completely fucking egregious, right? To say say those things and just be say that, and to follow it up with more anti-Semitism and then a racist rant on top of that is just absolute
threatening life of his wife, his kid. I mean, like, just a horrible human being in that moment. Do I think people can grow and be forgiven? Yes, I think that's the power of humanity. Strength is in forgiveness. Now the question is, it's also, you shouldn't be cast down if you do not choose to forgive.
Well, it's that, and what are you? Are you sorry? Like, those are the questions, right? Those sometimes remain to be seen. I focused a little on Mel there because I haven't always really gotten that vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm with you. I mean, we agree.
I got the "I'm sorry you're upset" vibe, right? Which is, which is a very, very different.
I've always got "I'm sorry I got caught" vibe.
I'm sorry I got caught. Yeah, that's the real one, on tape twice. But
Yeah.
all right. Well, taking.
Well, Greg's been dying to say something. I just stepped all over.
Yeah. I mean, y'all.
Oh,
yeah.
Go
I mean,
for it. Go for it. Greg. Did not mean to step on you.
It was kaiju time, baby.
Yeah, well, when it's rolling, it's rolling. I was gonna let it roll, but
it wasn't rolling.
I was gonna say that, in definitely in the case of Mel Gibson, I mean, it's not a shocker that the man said what he said, did what he did, and was able to rebound. I mean, if you look at most of the people, terrible deluge of cancel culture, it's like the majority of them had it coming, and how many of them really paid long-term consequences? Not many. So the idea that it was this terrible scare in the first place was nonsense. And secondly, we can't take anything too seriously from the people who solidly and firmly blackballed Colin Kaepernick. Like, you motherfuckers don't want freedom. You don't want freedom to speak. Stop. I mean, I could, easily throw out a million examples, but we need to murder this notion that these people don't get offended. Like, it is just has to get put to bed forever. I mean, we pick at each other on the left, and you know what? I don't mind it so much because there's a discussion to be had on the left. On the right, there's nothing left to talk about. And so for these people, the book banners of all fucking people, to make this comment is absolute nonsense. But I mean, you can't spend too much time either examining Mel Gibson's anti-Semitism. You're always going to run into the wall of, how did he get away with it? How could he make a comeback? And the answer is really simple: anti-Semitism.
There we go. Well, with that, let me lead it over to Three of Clubs. He had some thoughts here for us. So I was giving him the second. I batted lead off, so I'm giving him the second spot today. What you got for us? Lay down some knowledge here on this heavy episode of The Steam Gentleman.
Well, I like to keep things consistent for our listeners. I believe that is our respect and loyalty. So here we go. Not only am I going to skirt the subject and barely cover it, and hopefully I'll actually get to it, I'm also just going to do so many segues and sideways that it doesn't even matter what I'm talking about anyway. Like, for two examples, one, I want to clean up something that I talked about last episode. Whether you guys listen to this chronologically or not, I don't know. I can't really predict that. I hope you do. I hope you listen to it any given way. But we don't know. Yeah. The point I was trying to actually make is, and this is, again, nothing to do with the subject, but I felt like I need to clean it up anyway. See, you have to understand, in the early 90s, mid 90s, there was this company that came out that was super evil. They were called Coconuts. And why were they evil? Not necessarily because of the music selection that they gave. It was kind of vast and great. And they kind of had this cool monetary system that they got away from the good idea. They lost their shit, and basically they got corrupt with their power, similar to Kanye, right? Like, when you get a shitload of money, you can walk around and tell everyone to kiss your ass. That's what Kanye has been doing for the last 10 years. I mean, when you think about it, if you don't believe me, look up Kanye before he said all this bullshit and up until that moment, and then look up literally, what's today's date? The 31st? Yeah, it's Halloween. Look up Kanye 10/29/2022. You're gonna see two different people. Actually, sorry, look up Ye and then Ye. But anyway, point being is, Coconuts is out of fucking control. And part of the reason why they're out of control and they were bereft of power that needed to be stopped was they came up with a system that spoke to people like me, because I was tired of getting my ass handed to me by albums that sucked and only contained one good song, which is they were the first people to say, you can make your own CD. But they were so corrupt in the pricing of that it just made people angry. It just grew to cacophony levels. So when you get to the early 2000s, what I was talking about with the CD-ROM monsters, the goddamn monsters, if I'm going to be specific, then you understand how we got there. It was those years to get there. So I had to clean that up real fast. And also, I'm sidetracked a little bit because Josh went into Mel Gibson. And Mel Gibson hurts because, again, another part of my childhood, factors into what I'm talking about right now. And frankly, for all being honest, that's kind of all of us, literally. In any given day, if you are past the age of 10, your childhood is factoring into your decision making. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of mine and why he actually made it onto my list and why it fucking hurts so damn hard. See, Mel Gibson, if you came up in the 80s, Mel Gibson was kind of like out of nowhere, sort of in the late 80s. It was kind of like you're riding high with the guys you know. You got your Schwarzenegger, you got your Stallones. Bruce Willis was kind of like meandering. So when he finally broke through, it was like, all right, cool. We know this guy's coming. And as a black kid, you're still looking for spaces for, some of the guys you thought were going to break through. Like they kept playing with Carl Weathers. Like you thought it was just right around the corner from my mind. Like it was right there. Eddie Murphy looked like he was going to break through, but like, nah, he's too fucking goofy. Like I need an action hero. What the hell? And all of a sudden, boom, this dude Mel Gibson came out of nowhere. Now, some of us knew who he was because of fucking Road Warrior. Or else like that. This fucking guy? Nah, come on. But people were losing their shit to the point where he was like People's Magazine's highest person like 3 years in a row. He was like the Jordan of highest men or some shit like that. It was fucking weird. Just out of control. So it got to the point where if you're someone like me, and most of you probably aren't, and God, I hope so, because if the world's going to have a future, it can't have more of me. But point being is, if you're anything like me, then you fucking hate this guy, because it's like, this guy's just showing up. He didn't earn it. He's not good. Like, he's just eye candy. He's just making all these fucking women lose their shit. Why? Not even because he's good looking. It's because he fits the fucking social, societal, sexual norms that they've been spoon-fed so much. But by the time they see this dude, a Canadian tuxedo, no offense to Canada, and a mullet, not that great hair, they're losing it, right? So it's like, what the fuck? Who is this guy? But then you start watching some of his other movies, right? And I think I've gone on record a few times pointing out my love for Lethal Weapon. I do love Lethal Weapon 1 and 2. I got room for 3. Only because you guys snuck in a couple of things. I'm like, all right, you bastards, you're going to get me. And that's actually when I started to learn that sequels are evil. So anyway, I love me some Lethal Weapon. And actually, because I loved it so much, the relationship between him and Danny Glover's character kind of felt real to me. So like when he finally, I'm just going to skip to the end because it all falls suit. I'm a heterosexual man from the United States who grew up in the 80s and 90s. I love the same movies most of us fucking love. Why I went through the blockbuster point, we all had to fucking watch it at the same time. But the point being is, I'm not going to spend much more time on Mel Gibson. That shit hurt. And it hurts even more, as I point out, Josh, I love you, but he's not the only person. We do this actually in society. And I'm pointing out why society is more the boogeyman than we think, in the sense that we continue to only bring up Mel Gibson's anti-Semitism, and rightfully so. And I've actually met this guy in person. He's a broken old man when he's on in front of the camera. It's fucking weird. He knows his soul got corrupt. But like we leave out the other shit that he does. Is like, so I'm supposed to act like that didn't hurt while I'm supposed to defend what hurt you? That's fucking weird, man. Like we need to examine that way more than we do. So when we get to someone like Ye, yeah, fuck that dude. And honestly, he deserves every single thing that's happened to him in the last like 5 to 6, maybe even 7 years. Like the dude got $1 billion somewhere in his head, and he act like he'd been walking around telling everyone about it. So that's not too surprising. A couple of ones that got thrown for a loop that I wasn't seeing coming. It was like, all right, so I grew up also loving Kevin Spacey. I thought that you couldn't touch that dude at all when it came to acting. I am still eating off of the end of Usual Suspects. I know there's a couple of hipsters out there who love this shit on it, but you're only shitting on it because you loved it for so goddamn long. And you realize you ain't gonna find much else that's gonna be like that. So you've rounded the corner. On the other side of love is hate, people. You need to learn your equations. So it's okay when you go around shitting on Usual Suspects. I know you still love it anyway. So like, yeah, when Kevin Spacey shit got called out for all his weird creepiness, and rightfully so, and I feel bad for Anthony Rapp because it sounded like he got railroaded. Look that shit up. But that sucked. So that was one, celebrity that was kind of went the way of the wayside. And another reason why I have continued to say for pretty much my entire life, do not meet your heroes. It's not fun. Louis C.K. and Cosby. Louis C.K. actually didn't give a shit about him. Frankly, if you listen to half of his comedy before all his shit happened, it's not all that surprising. The guy was really like the coolest incel. That's the best way to put it. Cosby, yeah, that kind of fucking hurt in a weird way, but also same thing. If you're in the black community, you kind of saw the fall coming way back before even the turn of the century, because Cosby, while looking the darling in the white people's eyes, spent most of his latter years shitting on black people like he was the cooler, nicer, non-athletic OJ. Like it was just fucking weird. Show up randomly at HBCU and be like, "All you N-words ain't shit." Basically, you like he turned to Uncle Ruckus. So by the time he got to where he got to, it was kind of like, as a black person, I'm going to point out it's kind of weird that a black man walked around raping people in the 60s. So that feels conspiratorial. But yeah, fuck that dude. So like no one really cared about that. We can also talk about Pee Wee, my guy. You had enough money to get
Pee Wee. Yeah.
You had enough money to get a videotape and a VCR at that time. You could have gone home. So we'll just move past that. It's weird how I swear to God, the future it does exist, because I think my future self keeps trying to tell me something, because out of nowhere I just started to listen to like one of the bands I liked in the early 2000s, and they had a couple of songs that weren't all that awesome, but like if you're into that angsty sort of acid hip-hop rock that was really prevalent in the early 2000s, you're gonna know this band that I'm talking about. And it's Lost Prophets. So I'm like, why the fuck did I stop listening to that? I'm like, oh, that's right, because the fucking lead singer went beyond grooming little kids. This dude was straight out just a predator. Like he was just worse than the worst. So it got to the point where even the whole band's like, don't ever fucking bring up the fact that I was in this band. This band was awesome. This was that fucking creepy. He was like Gary Glitter out there. Like it was just fucking weird. But I'm gonna go a different direction. I know I already ran out of time. I can't believe this, because I swear to God I wasn't gonna do this when I was walking into this. Oh, I got one more minute. So let me go ahead and
We don't believe that, but go ahead.
All right, so I got this. Let me flip this on its head. What happens if you're not the one who actually kills your celebrity status? What if it's not you? What if it's actually the popularity of a whole different thing that you had nothing to do with, and then weirdly enough you sort of interacted with the author, maybe or maybe not once? Maybe if someone was literally talking about the author was talking about one of his friends but not you, but you just got dragged down and your entire 48 years of active military service got basically wiped away in one shot. What if you are not only a Marine vet, but you retire from the Marines to run the fucking Army? What if you're a 5-war veteran? What if you are at the end of your life in your service? And I want to point out 48 years. In those 48 years, you fought in 5 wars. 1812 was one of them that you get name checked left and right because of your service and your heroics. What if, as a post commander, you all of a sudden, after all this, get no longer any respect because it is about a decade plus past a book that absolutely destroyed the country. I mean, took over the country because it was so entertaining and exciting. And it was kind of talking about the author's friend who was a teacher in upstate New York, possibly Connecticut, but not this military commander, this man of man, this person that frankly Washington wishes he had the military career of. What if you were the poor fucking bastard of every Halloween's favorite child's tale, Ichabod Crane?
I mean, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, well, you know, are you saying that Ichabod is the metaphor for?
No, he is an actual person who was a military, like, not lifer, a military, literally GI. This dude was like the revolutionary pre-Civil War GI Joe. This is what this guy was. And he had to eat shit from people he commanded towards the end of his career when he was post commander, because he'd get new recruits like Ichabod Crane.
Ain't nothing wrong with Ichabod Crane.
This guy must be a pussy. Look at this guy. I mean, sorry, I know that's not. But
I will say that
I hear women say that way more than men nowadays, but I'm not. That's like me saying I got a black friend, so I'll back off. But
it's true. Rashawn does have black friends.
Yeah, I can attest to this. Yes, we have two.
It is true. Rashawn's got black friends.
We can give that attestation to Rashawn and his black friend status. I'm going to go on record here now. I'm going to make my controversial statement that Usual Suspects is still a great fucking movie, and if you're shitting on it, I don't really want to know you. So that's for starters, okay? Because that was a great fucking movie, beginning, middle, and end. Yeah, you want to be a hipster, you want to shit on it now. that's your choice, but absolutely screw that. And by the way, just on a small 1-to-1 level, man, I feel you on Riggs and Murtaugh. I mean, that hurt, man.
Oh
That
yeah.
hurt.
That's some bullshit right
Hurt
there,
hard.
man. Like, how the fuck can Riggs say that after killing all those South Africans? Come on, man. They went to
Right.
war. They went to war with South
That's
Africa.
what I'm saying.
No,
but that's the
Lethal Weapon 2
special.
is nothing but like the best buddy like bonding movie. I mean, it starts with dudes on toilets. You gotta go to war for a guy you're in the toilet. You're on the toilet with. That's what I'm saying. You're dying for that guy.
Absolutely. He pulled him off. His legs.
Platonic, romantically, it don't matter. Like once you breach that threshold, it's like, all right, our souls are intertwined.
Nah, without a doubt, But what were you about to say, Greg?
I was gonna say it's one of the necessities for any successful form of hate, but it's also in particular anti-Semitism. Like people can see themselves being a good person in every other aspect of their life, and naturally they're anti-Semitic because that just doesn't quantify into morality. Like there's just no part of it that says I'm a bad person and anti-Semitic. No, naturally I'm anti-Semitic because I am a person. So it's like you don't factor that into so many of your other moral choices, your other choices in morality, because it is just the status quo. So yeah, you can have a black friend. I mean, he's not a Jew. So what's the problem?
I'm now questioning. Now I'm feeling conflicted on myself, but we all know my mixed heritage, but it works on there. But it sounds like you got an interesting lead up to your 10 minutes. So let's get you here to step up to the plate here, Greg. Tell you what, tell us what this week's tweeting shitstorm, where certain words we thought we had banished to the back into the black, like Sauron himself has now come resurgent with the one ring of power and the one tweet of power once again. Tell us what all this is meaning to you.
When it comes to celebrity meltdowns, like you touched on, like this isn't the first. I mean, we were there for Britney. We love a good celebrity meltdown. But the thing is with celebrities and celebrity meltdowns, because it just changes the conversation when you have that platform. Like you're not just, and that's kind of what Kyrie Irving recently said. Like just because he posts something doesn't mean he's promoting it. It's like, actually, because you're a celebrity, yes, it does. Like so, it does change the conversation, and because that muddies the waters, it also muddies the waters. Like what are antics, what are just trying to get attention and promote yourself, like where do you draw the line? Like is this just this celebrity desperately trying to be relevant again? Like is this just this celebrity, maybe they've always been this way and they're trying to just show how unconventional they are? Or are they seriously having a mental breakdown, and someone that loves them, hopefully they have someone like that out there, needs to tell them the truth and get them help? You don't know. Usually you don't know until it's too late. And more often than not, the ones that are truly tragic, you usually find out definitely when it's too late, because they've already overdosed or committed suicide or died in the drunk driving accident. So these meltdowns, it's like after you found out everything that was going on with Britney, it was like, all right, well, we feel awful because like we were sitting here just kind of thinking to ourselves, oh man, this is great. Like you touched on, Josh, like we love to watch them fall and we were enjoying it. And then when people found out what was really going on with her family, it was like, oh, fuck.
Free Britney.
Free Britney. Yeah, we're all awful people.
Yeah.
We are all awful people, and we had no idea she was going through this. So it is something that, just as viewers of content and just people who absorb culture, like we don't always know. And you know what? It does get lost in it because it does seem like all entertainment, like it's always to the point where you expect a celebrity after they've gotten some years and might not be as relevant to do some dumb shit like this. Madonna did it to a certain degree. A lot of people believe Tupac did it. A lot of people feel like they just have to stir shit up to start getting attention again. This has a different note to it, though, because when you're coming out and you're anti-Semitic, and you are not like, Charlemagne the God said this, and I totally agree. Like, he's not an original thinker. Like, all of this is old anti-Semitism and black Israelite gibberish that we just don't need to point out anymore. We don't need to give a platform for. But it's with the ease that you can stir up anti-Semitism in so many people and so many groups that it makes it dangerous. So when it comes to something like this, yeah, it's something else. Like what Kanye is doing, you might call it the Trump model. You wouldn't be wrong. It's dangerous. It's dangerous because it puts somebody else in the crosshairs just because you want to, you feel that, Migos is getting too much attention. So now you want to come and try to insinuate yourself, in this sort of controversial way. Or does he really believe it? I don't think that matters. I don't think it matters if he really believes it. The point is, this is what you're putting out in the world. We have to attack that. So how do you deal with it? Well, it's been tricky. I won't lie to you, because over here in the Black verse, a lot of people, for a lot of reasons, really want to defend Kanye West. I mean, it was kind of the same with Michael Jackson. It's kind of the same with Bill Cosby. You have a lot of people that just have this, knee-jerk need to defend these people. And, you should give them the benefit of the doubt, because we don't know everything all the time. Did Michael Jackson like to suck off 6-year-olds? Okay, yeah, it looks like he did. But Thriller, so you kind of end up back in that same corner. It's like, no, some things are just indefensible. And so if we're going to take Kanye at his word, we'll see what other confessions come down the road. Let's take a little look at the madness that he has been spreading. First, you have the backhanded compliment to the Jewish community of, I wish we were like them. I wish people said to us that we controlled Hollywood. I wish people said to us that we were good at math. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just say, always my favorite, by the way.
Right? Yeah.
You people are smart. I always love that one.
I love how you guys, know all about the law and dentistry. What the fuck? Like, it's very kind of you. It's very, very kind of you. But even in that, there is anti-Semitism. Just this idea that there's some organized cabal that are all good at dentistry and all become lawyers. And that's how they used it to get their nefarious power. And I have to argue this constantly, but in the post-Trump era, it is very important for us to not give too much ear to the insanity, because a lot of it is just stupid. And if a person is going to deny a fact that is directly in front of their faces, then they're just going to deny that fact that's directly in front of their faces. If Jews were anywhere near as powerful as you say they are, they wouldn't be putting up with your bullshit. They just wouldn't. They wouldn't be putting up with your stupid shit. Like, it doesn't make any sense for them to be like, we are going to amass this nefarious power and not use it. We're going to we are
use
going
it
to
very specifically, like use it
very specifically
in like the weirdest fucking ways. But
yeah,
but it's
because let's be honest, that's where Kanye, a point that people were constantly making, is like, oh, well, they only care because he's saying these things against Jews. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. And that's enough. That's honestly enough. Like, that's all I need to say. If he was just going off on usual, I don't know, I want to call it generic celebrity insanity, then you're right. No one would fucking care. And we would just hope that he got tired of doing this and got back to, making music eventually after he got off of this crazy train. You're absolutely right. But in this case, especially post-Trump, someone with his platform going off against Jews is dangerous. is dangerous. And I've said this a number of times. The biggest victim of all of this is stupidity. It is. Stupidity is the real victim, because there was a time where you could just be a dumbass. You could just be a dumbass and just believe in some stupid, outlandish, outrageous, dehumanizing bullshit, dehumanizing yourself as a human because you believe this bullshit, not dehumanizing someone else. We have to be specific there. But there was a time where you could just be an imbecile that believed bullshit and it was okay. But now bullshit has been weaponized. Bullshit is dangerous. Bullshit is doctrine. And so people like him are going to get called out, rightfully so. So does that mean that I'm making a distinction between his insanity and other celebrities' insanity? Yes. Yes. Hate insanity. You brought up Michael Richards earlier. Yes. Hate insanity is different. You know, regulars like, what's his name? Ezra Bridger. Is it? No,
no, that's
Ezra Miller.
Star Wars. Yeah, Ezra Miller.
Yeah,
Ezra
sorry,
Bridger's
wrong.
from Star Wars.
Wrong,
Hey,
Ezra.
Leave Rebels out of this, man. Come on. I know you don't like Star Wars, Greg, but that was uncalled for.
We'll get to that later. Yeah,
Speaking of hate,
he seems to have be having a meltdown right now too. And again, I hope he snaps out of it, because Joaquin Phoenix
last 4 years.
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix was having some sort of, didn't he retire and become a rapper or some madness like that? And he seems to be doing
that. Was
right?
That may have been staged.
Yeah, whatever. But that's what I'm saying. That is a perfectly normal meltdown. Help yourself to it. When Kanye jumped on stage and embarrassed the shit out of himself and Taylor Swift to give Beyonce a compliment, which she was also embarrassed as well.
I'm gonna stop you right there. Beyonce
won
this one.
Yeah, right. Seriously, like that was fine. That was him being a celebrity lunatic, hammered off of his ass and doing something stupid. Totally fine.
Shout out to Mike Myers.
When you're going to target people and stir up anti-Semitism, especially in the Black community, then yeah, you are dangerous. And I'm glad everybody's calling him out on it.
I just want to interject real quick, just saying, how long have you been waiting for that moment to be able to say that appropriately without irony? I'm going to stop you right there.
Come on, guys. You know me. You think I was actually thinking of that before it came up? Absolutely not.
No, man, it was there. You're like,
that was you. That was your moment.
That was the golden 3 of clubs moment right there.
I flubbed it like normal. I would point out real fast 2 things. One, you're kind of missing slightly on Kanye, whereas no, that's the reason why people are saying what they're saying about why it's so important that we are highlighting his anti-Semitism being called out and nothing else. Because no, he actually has spent the last several years attacking multiple groups, mostly Black. So that's the reason why a lot of people are like, so when he's talking about Black people, it's okay. But when he went anti-Semitic, now it's time to pull contracts. And I'm not against anyone pulling contracts for anti-Semitism. I think I made clear about how I feel about anyone's hate. But I think, again, it needs to be clear why, or at least we need to have a better conversation why people react the way they do, instead of just pushing off and saying, nah, that's not valid or it doesn't exist. And also, stupid's always been weaponized. That's literally how we got religion. You have a group of people who do not know better, and then you just roll out facts that you call facts and make them move to your will. Stupid has always been weaponized. This is the reason why this country hasn't always had public education and could lose it pretty soon. This isn't built into our Constitution, and the people who actually formed this country understood that and made sure for at least the first 150 years, maybe even closer, really came down to, frankly, oddly enough, the robber barons being the reason why we have public education. The same people who capitalized on the reason why our country was built on stupid being weaponized were the same people like, wait, hold on. Our factories kind of need someone who knows how to run it, to the point where, look, I'm fine with one person losing a hand, but I can't have all the work.
Can't have all of them lose
because they can't fucking read.
because they can't say stop, right? Yeah,
It was, yeah, the
big red sign.
industrialists who said we need public education.
I'm just gonna start the outro for our what is probably gonna be our final episode after this airs. So it's been nice knowing both of you. It's been fantastic. No, I love actually the point you just made that there's a certain amount with the idea of not educating people and where that can get you. On my own education, just a small point because Greg mentioned them in relation to Kanye. I was unaware until I moved to Los Angeles, California. Sunny LA. I'd never heard of or seen a Black Israelite before. And then I'm down on Venice one day and there's all these dudes sitting there and they have all these, Stars of David up on, and Lion of Judah and all this stuff. And I sort of pull up a chair when they start to speak. I'm like, all right, what are these guys about? Oh, this okay. Did not see that one coming. Just had no idea. Had never heard of that group before until that day. So that was eye-opening. That was, I think there's a certain amount of education there.
It's like a weird, black cosplay, but yeah.
It was new. It was definitely new. Something I had not seen before.
Look, I'm not trying to speak out of pocket for anyone. I'm just going to point out people come from unique and original experiences. I think we would learn more and move greater as a people if we found out why many Black Israelites, especially the ones in which Kyrie was referencing, are so angry. And it doesn't take that much to look at the treatment of non-white people in Israel to even get an understanding of where a lot of this anger is coming from. It can be misconstrued. I'm not saying it's 100% accurate on target. That is not my point. I'm saying if we actually didn't just say the Black experience doesn't matter, which is frankly what we've done. We've looked at anti-Semitism from a unique European experience back past William Shakespeare. It is literally written into parts of religion. We understand the European and Anglo approach to anti-Semitism is as old as Christianity, is literally the basis of it when you break it down. But everyone just completely ignores and removes or acts like it doesn't exist or have a long-standing historical impact of non-white experiences through the same spaces. So their history may end up being a little different and may have a few enemies that may not share your own. Some may just share your reflection.
Well, I think that is a absolutely great point to end on today, but I think you're absolutely right. And I support you, give you a big thumbs up, big raised fist over the Zoom screen in solidarity. Absolutely hearing you there,
wait,
that's giving the Black Israelites way too much credit.
I'm not giving anyone credit. I'm not giving anyone credit. I do not want to have those words attached to what I just said. I'm saying if we do not look at the reasons why people move in the way they do, then we're always going to have these same problems. We do not correct anything by just casting people aside. You're doing exactly what you said you shouldn't do.
I do agree with you, Rashawn. I think you're absolutely right. I think far too much of where we're at nowadays is that we don't look at the root and we don't look at why people feel that way.
I think we got to have a basis for important discourse like history, and the Black Israelites definitely aren't a source.
Well, I'm gonna lead us out of what will possibly be the last episode of after we're quote unquote canceled, putting the big buddy quotes on that, and saying it's been fantastic knowing both you. I love you to pieces. This time has been absolutely fun and amazing.
Can't get water from a stone, man. We're not making any money.
There is that too. I mean, here's the funny part, it's like you can cancel us and it's like they said in High Fidelity, right? I know what you're thinking. I hired these guys part-time 3 years ago and they just kept showing up every day. So it's, I can't.
I said Jack Black for a reason.
There you go. Exactly.
My future self.
Right. There you go. No, we kind of are the guys in our own respect. We are hanging out in the record store, making top 10 lists, right? That's what we do here. As John said, before you cancel us, if you feel like it, head on over to Apple Podcast and rate and review us. Give us the old 5-star. Help us climb those old charts. We've been, I feel we've been reaching more esteemed people. We're having a hell of a lot of fun We do want to hear from you. Email us at doyouevensteambro@gmail. We'd love to hear your thoughts, your comments, your concerns, whatever, however it relates to pop culture and social commentary. Right now, we're having a lot of fun. We're on fire on Facebook, on the Steam Gentleman Podcast, and on Instagram at Do You Even Steam Bro. So that's kind of that's our zone, being that we're Gen Xers, and I notice our audience is pretty much Gen Xers. Maybe a few of you in your 30s out there, but God bless you for hanging around with us. The two of you in your 20s who are listening, thank you so much. Maybe that's wouldn't that be a kicker? By the way, audience is mostly male. We get it, but we're not trying to alienate our female audience. Hope you know that we love you too, and not in a creepy way. But
that's what Greg's here for.
It would crack me
up.
In
the ladies.
It would crack me up if that fan in Wichita, by the way, was like 20s and female. That would crack me up no end.
I mean, we do not delude ourselves, and we all have wives, but we totally get, we're not drawing a big female audience here.
Yeah,
I mean, can you hear that voice?
We totally get it. It's fine. Love you guys.
But exactly. Please know you're always welcome, but we are who we are.
Totally. Yeah.
We get it. We get it.
We get
it. We know,
we get
we're not, the girls were not, the women in our schools were not hanging around our tables necessarily. Greg being the exception, probably.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, man. Listen to that voice.
Well, I went to their table, but I mean, we definitely have to.
But you were allowed to sit.
Get a name for, get a name for that. When you see a woman being explained some nerd shit by her boyfriend or a friend, their eyes just kind of glaze over. Like we understand that that could also be the title of this show, so no worries there at all.
Nerds played it well. Greg, with that, what you got going on for the rest of it till actually we got a special plan to meet tomorrow, but what are you doing between now and then and the rest of the week? So
I mean, like you said, like you broke the I don't know what eighth wall, but you told today is actually Halloween for us, so we're gonna go give out some saturated fats and be freaky and do shit.
You guys are giving out donuts?
Love it. Yeah, well,
what's that?
You guys are giving out donuts?
Yo, yes.
Yes, no. Oh, there you go. I was hoping for some like beignets or something. In which case, I'm coming over to your place, man. You gonna got something from down south New Orleans or something like that. Some po' boys.
You can't. Yeah, you can't get beignets.
You guys remember the year? You guys remember the year growing up where they finally put rules on what could be given out? Like all of a sudden, schools started giving out flyers, or like people started being told, like, "Hey, don't give people like things that are open."
Hey, it's just
I remember that. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying? Trying to keep you down. That's the man trying to keep you down, right there.
I remember having that feeling. I was like 7.
I was like, John, what do you got going on for the rest of Halloween?
Free speech. I don't effing know about that, but I'm gonna leave people with a little geekdom because I feel like we moved a little bit closer to entertainment than the Sci-Fi Channel today. So I'm gonna give them a little geekdom and say, hey guys, be lucky that shit that we have now was around like in the 80s, early 90s, because you wouldn't have Iron Man. You just have an earlier version of Charlie Sheen.
That is I agree. I agree with you on that big time. It's a good idea that I am grateful that we grew up in the time that we did. Overall, I wouldn't change much around for anything right now.
The worst that was going to happen is someone write a kick-ass story that uses your name as a namesake in your 48 active military career that you die in. It's laughed at. Die peacefully. 48 years, died peacefully. I need people to break those numbers down in their head.
Wow. Wow.
Happy Halloween.
Right. Yes. Well, happy Halloween to y'all. I'm heading on out. I got to take the kids trick-or-treating. So just gonna head on over to the house where we're launching off from. Looking forward to it. This is my favorite day, even though you're hearing it in November. So just, set your way back machine to a couple weeks and just, that's where we were at and where we're going. But I'm excited. I see a lot of you people out there interacting with us, talking to us, liking our memes, and we're loving it. We're loving this opportunity. We do thank you for this chance to grow an audience. It means a lot to us. It gives us a chance to really, find some way to be creative and talk about the things we want to talk about. You know, as Greg said it so succinctly earlier, we get to come here and talk about the things that make our wives' eyes just totally glaze over. And when they stop paying attention to us, where I've literally had my wife say, "I'm not on your podcast. Shut the fuck up." So, you know, it's, think about how bad things would be if I didn't have this particular place to go and work from. So I'm grateful as hell to be here. We're grateful as hell to have you. But we thank you once again for tuning in. Yeah, I think Rashawn, I think you nailed it. We went a little on the entertainment side, and we're not going to live there. That's not our life. But you know, sometimes things are worth having the discussion about. You know, we're looking forward to getting back to, you know, those debates. Particularly, I'm trying to get these two schlubs to watch Andor, best Star Wars I've seen in years. So, you know, time to sit on that. Put on your big boy pants.
This is twice the teacher has been very nice to the delinquent student. One was he didn't bring up Twitter or TikTok, which is sort of my responsibility. He's at that point in class in the year where the teachers is no longer bringing up the homework that just isn't going to be done. So that's one shot with the teacher just being nice. And the second part was what just happened.
Well, all right. Till next time we meet and we speak, this is Josh the Birdman telling you to keep your heat up and keep your head of steam on.